Welcome everyone back to another episode 2
Two.
of Worked with Steph and Steph. Of course, I'm Steven, and I'm joined, as always, by my favorite co-host, Stephanie Hypes. Steph, how's the weather over there right now? Because you're in Arizona, right?
I am in Arizona.
Cool.
First of all, hi everybody. I know it's been a while. We apologize.
Right.
Um,
My bad.
okay. It's for me. I'm cold all the time, Stephen. All the
Okay.
time.
Okay.
I don't like cold weather. I don't thrive in cold weather. I need warmth. Now, cold to me, it might be different cold to you, right?
All
Cold
right.
to me is anything under 65 degrees.
Okay.
At that point, I'm getting my muff boots out. I got my my fake my fake fur coats. Like it's a mess. My husband looks at me like I'm nuts. But
Yeah.
uh right now, I think it was like in the 60s this week. It was actually pretty pleasant. Not in the
Yeah.
mornings. The morning's freezing to me, but
It,
midday
it was an
it's
amazing
beautiful.
33 when I woke up this morning here in North Carolina. My wife is the same as you though. Like if it's below like 70 degrees, there's a great chance she's got long sleeves and jeans on.
Oh, yeah, I'm not
Um,
going outside unless I
um,
have to.
so let me ask you, what do you keep like your AC or heat on in your house?
The only marriage problem I have, Stephen, is
I
the
mean,
temperature in our house. That is our only problem. For me, we came to a compromise. It's 72.
okay,
That's what we keep it in our house. If it was up to my husband, it'd be like 65. Up to me, it'd be like 76.
that's
But
so
we met in the middle and it stays at 72. Every
it's
now and then he tries to sneak in, turn the heater off, and it drops down like 69. And he knows I'm like, it's freezing cold. Like, I know because even look, you guys are gonna laugh. I have a little heater that sits on my
wow.
desk right here. A little heater. Because I am always cold all the
That
time.
is that is so funny. So my wife and I are kind of the same way. Her ideal temperature is 76. Like if I'm not in the house, she sets every thermostat to 76 degrees, both upstairs and downstairs. So she works upstairs. I'm mainly downstairs throughout the course of a day, and so I'll like either open the windows up outside or like crank the downstairs down until like an hour before I know she's about to get off work, and then I'll pop it back up to 76. Because if not,
See, I'm the other way. So if he leaves, I'm turning the heater up to like
oh,
74. And then he's like, oh, I'm on my way home. Great. Okay, perfect. Turn it off.
well, the
And
worst
by the
is
time he gets
like
back, it's 72.
oh
So
man, the
good.
worst is like doing outside yard work and stuff, and then you come in and you're like, oh, I'm so hot, and she's like, I'm freezing. Anyway, so we have a lot to discuss today. I apologize, everybody. Stephanie was ready to go all last week. She's been ready to go this week as well. It's been me. I've been lagging
Steven's fault.
behind. It's my fault.
Steven's fault.
I do have a question below. Who has the better moonsault? Is it Charlotte? Is it Lita? We'll kick off there. I brought it up on Twitter, and I'm going to explain to you, Stephanie, why Charlotte has the superior moonsault.
Okay.
If you ever watch her grace and her natural flair, just essence, fly through the air with the blonde glowing hair, just immediately going all over the place.
Uh-huh.
She gets more height on it. She can
She
get
does
more
get more height.
distance on it.
She does get more
It's
height.
very pretty. I understand the knees might come down a little bit, but she's protecting herself. And
Right.
the last thing WWE needs, the last things us fans need, the last thing you need is for Charlotte Flair to get injured. Because if there is no Charlotte Flair, there is no main event picture for the women, right?
Steven, I'm going to go ahead and log off now. You have the show by yourself. First of all, just to put it out there, we don't want anyone injured. Ever.
No,
Ever,
absolutely.
ever. However, if Charlotte wanted to take a vacation, I'm okay.
Whoa.
Like a 3 week vacation, maybe a month. I'm okay. I'm good.
Her and
However,
Andrade can go sip Mai Tais and some random.
girl, get your glow on,
By
girl.
the way,
Go to the beach,
by the,
have your fun.
I don't understand all the hate she gets like for her look and stuff.
For
Like
her what?
her look or her face or her like people like
Oh,
bash her for like posting like they look
that's
great.
literally every woman in the division. For some
They
reason,
look
that it drives me nuts because it's one of those things where I feel that I don't see men ever being ridiculed for
Right?
that type of stuff constantly. The women are constantly dragged for either what they're wearing, what their makeup looked like, what their hair looked like. I'm like, who cares?
And
Like,
look,
yeah, like you want them to look beautiful, right?
sure.
Like they're on TV, sure, but why is this a constant a subject of conversation
Can I just tell
online?
you,
Like why?
can
For
I just
what?
tell you,
Can we talk
90%?
about the wrestling? Can we talk about how they wrestled? Can we talk about? I'm sorry, actually, let's go there too. And the women are constantly ridiculed for their matches, right? If they don't do everything to perfection, if they don't execute everything perfectly, it is absolutely ridiculed and just dragged through the mud. And I'm like, I don't see the same energy for the men.
No,
So
and
if you're
look,
not going to do the same thing for both,
then just shut
leave it
up.
be. Like
So
either you enjoyed the match or you didn't.
like like wrestlers as a whole, right? Like if you look at Hammerstone, even for like MLW, like these people are like top 5%, like builds, like physiques in like the world, right? Like these people are incredibly shredded, gifted, just amazing. Like somebody was like tweeting about Sasha Banks yesterday and about how like where on earth would like he was like she's a 7, and I'm like on
In
on
what world?
on what plane? Like these are some of the most
What?
beautiful people, like men and women. Like these are just some of the most beautiful people on the. Anyway, like,
It
well,
just
it's
look.
it's
Everyone
amazing to
has
me.
their
It's
opinions. To each
hey,
their
cool,
own. Maybe that particular person doesn't find Sasha attractive. But
sure.
my thing is, it doesn't make her a 7 because
No,
you don't
it
find her attractive.
100%, a million percent there.
But the point is, I don't see women going. Okay, first of all, women do thirst. Okay, I thirst. All right, hello, Roman. The point is that we don't sit there and constantly talk about it on a daily basis. Like Roman's a 3. No, like his hair is a little stringy. Yeah. I don't know. Like it isn't talked about.
Randy Orton's a 4. I mean, his bottom abs weren't showing up that day.
Like, I don't know, guys. His calves look a little
guys,
off. Like we don't. That same conversation doesn't happen. So sorry. To your question.
And not only that. One last thing. Nobody cares, people. Like you putting it out there on Twitter is only to spread negativity. That's it.
They're doing it for attention. And the thing that drives me even more nuts is that they'll sit there and tag these people in these comments.
Yeah,
unprovoked,
it's insane.
Right?
Which
just unprovoked. So I'm just like, you're just looking for attention.
Yeah,
that's all it is. It's attention.
Anything for likes. Which, you know, as we wrap this up here, I'm glad you agree with me that Charlotte does have the better moonsault.
I did not say that.
And we will move on from here.
So
now we're gonna talk the Royal Rumble. Now we're gonna talk the Royal Rumble. You said it was underwhelming. Many on Twitter hated the Royal Rumble this year. I think going into this show, I thought it could be one of the best Rumbles ever. Like, ever.
I think most people did.
And I think that's the problem.
I think they had high expectations.
So let's go in.
And honestly, fans, as a fan, we do that, right? We fantasy book. We do all these things in our head and come up with these brilliant ideas. And when they don't happen, we're let down, right?
Sure.
So it's like we kind of are our own worst enemies as far as that goes.
Yeah, however, I mean, some of us also fantasy book it and are completely correct, like myself prior to the Royal Rumble.
Your predictions were spot on, sir.
All right, so go ahead. Let's start with the Women's Rumble. We had the return of Ronda Rousey. We had we had Summer Rae and we had Mickie James and we had we had Sasha Banks return the night before and then in the Rumble. What'd you make of the Women's Rumble? What'd you make of Ronda winning? What'd you think about it overall?
So this is the one I was mostly invested in, right? I was more invested in this one than I was the men's. It was underwhelming for me because there were so many missed opportunities to me. You had all these amazing legends coming back. You have obviously the amazing talent that's currently there. I just thought they could have done so much more. There were a couple moments that I'll just throw out there. You had Cameron and Naomi who didn't even interact in the ring. And I'm like, that was her old tag team partner. Like, why wouldn't you? I get that. Sonya, giving her the camera made Naomi mad, right? I get that, but why not give them a moment in the ring first where they can do their Funkadactyls dance or anything just for nostalgia purposes, right? That was a missed opportunity. You had Molly Holly and Nikki Ash, who were both wearing like their capes. They could have done the whole like hero thing, and then Nikki turns on Molly and then throws her over, right? There's just so many different little nuances that they really could have put more detail in. A lot of it seemed rushed just to get to the Ronda bit. And I was like, there should be, even though there's all these women, there should be some story going on in the ring, right?
Yes.
And it's just one of those things. Sasha being thrown out that early. Now, look, I don't know if she just got back from injury. I have no clue if that's why they didn't want her in there too long. But the woman did the splits in the middle of the ring and then trended for 3 days because of it.
Yeah.
All I'm saying is if she can do that, I feel like she could have lasted longer. There's no reason you don't have an anchor like Sasha in there at least halfway, right?
Well,
especially since she was an odds-on favorite to win it.
Yeah.
You kind of want, like, she didn't even have face-offs with Mickey. Nope. She had no face-off with Charlotte. And they just had that scuffle the night before. I'm like, why wouldn't you tease that, right? So I think a lot of people had Sasha in their final four, right?
Yeah,
if not winning it.
Yeah.
So it's just one of those things where I'm like, that made no sense to me. That made zero sense to me why she got thrown out so early.
Let me jump in real quick because I agree with you. I think the lack of storytelling was probably what upset most people the most. And then I think when you see somebody like in itself, I'm fine with Sasha having an off night and getting thrown out. Like it does, like to me, it doesn't like harm her character or anything like that.
You know what I mean? She should be booked just as strongly as any of the other four horsewomen. No, so there's no way that, if Becky was in that match, she wouldn't have been thrown out that early. If Charlotte was in the match, she would never be thrown out that early. So Sasha is at the level, if not higher, than most, pretty much everybody that was in that ring. So why is she being the first one thrown out? Not first one, but thrown out so early.
Yeah, I don't get it. Maybe it's the injury thing, like you said.
And we don't know that.
Maybe she wasn't conditioned to go like.
Yeah. We don't know, and so that's why I'm trying to refrain from complaining too much.
Sure.
But if it wasn't injury, that them just trying to be safe, and like maybe they brought her in for the pop because she is very popular.
Sure.
Maybe she wasn't fully ready to come back, but that being said.
Other than that, it's a horrible decision.
So it's a horrible decision. And nothing to do with injury, it was a horrible decision.
One last thing real quick. Bianca Belair lasted a really long time in the Rumble. I think she only had like one elimination though.
She had one elimination, and I did say that when we went out, but
okay.
She only had one elimination the whole match, and I'm like, this is your next top face, and you only give her one elimination this year? Like that didn't make any sense either. I didn't
get that.
I was okay with them not giving Naomi the, save spot, if you will, because everyone was like, oh, they're going to do the same thing, like she's going to, and they didn't do that this year. Like they threw people off. I was okay with that.
Yeah.
But I still wanted to see the Cameron and her interact and like whatever. But
Rousey wins. What'd you think about her return? She, in my opinion, she adds, and we talked about this last show, she adds an intensity, right? She adds something a little different than everybody else on that roster does. But when you kind of look at you look at the Elimination Chamber, and you're like, well, you don't need Ronda Rousey, right? But it is a nicety.
That's my biggest issue right now, is that this year we didn't need her.
No.
Right? I would have been okay if they would have brought her back Raw after Mania, then start her storyline or build from there. And
she wants that Mania payday. Yeah.
Correct. And WWE wants the money from whatever she brings in.
Yeah,
I get it. I just, she wasn't needed in sense of storyline, in sense of talent. She wasn't needed. I guess if you're looking at it that way, she probably isn't needed at all. But it's just one of those things where we already had active storylines going. I think most people were really looking forward to Charlotte versus Sasha.
Yes.
I know I was. But then they do that whole tease thing and whatever, and then Ronda's back, and then she's winning, and I'm like, okay, where does Sasha go? Like, you don't have someone like Sasha Banks and not use them in Mania.
It's just incredible because I'm cool. I'm completely cool with Rousey and Charlotte, right? Like you had brought up that idea. I think it's awesome. I think you put them on a poster and it looks like a mega event. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
But when I look at the amount of talent that the women's division has, you have to have at least 5 matches, if not 6 women's matches on these 2 nights. So if you're going to dedicate 6 matches to the 2 nights and you're going to give Sasha Banks a match worth having, fine. I'm cool. Like, if you bring back Bayley and you run Sasha Bayley, not going to be angry at it, right? Like, they have plenty of history. Right. Cool.
They have plenty of history. They didn't get to do their one-on-one with a crowd.
Yep, exactly.
So they really could easily build that and make it.
If you want to put Sasha in. So I had actually put last night, I think there's a really cool story you could tell to put Sasha with what we would think is Bianca and Becky. And the reason being, this all started at SummerSlam. Well, Sasha was originally supposed to be in that SummerSlam match. She's out, Becky comes in, off kicks the story. Well, Sasha's still kind of tied in because Bianca and Sasha have unfinished business, right? Sasha and Becky is cool any time of the year. Or Sasha says, well, if I wasn't injured, you wouldn't be champion. I'd still be champion, right? And then Bianca's like, well, wait a minute. I want to beat both of y'all. And then Bianca gets to beat both of them. And how big of a star does she look? I think that's the play for Sasha Banks. If it were me, I don't know if they're going to do that, but that's what I would do.
Well, I know we'll get there, but they do have the open spot in Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
And we don't know who it's going to be, but we will get there.
Yeah. The men's rumble, real quick. I kind of felt the same way, right? Like it lacked a bunch of storytelling. It was fine. Like the rumble was fine. It was watchable, and if you watched it, like if I turned it on for my son, he would be like, "Oh, really cool," right? Because he doesn't have expectations. But when we saw that card and we're like, "Holy cow!" Like this could be a mega show. It wasn't. But like I still enjoyed it. It didn't hit me on that next level of, man, this was amazing. Brock wins. I mean, I had predicted that to happen. If it went the other way around, you would have been right. Like this was obviously the path they were going. One of these 2 champions losing, and that person inserting themselves in and winning the Rumble. I'm cool with, like, I'm not of the belief that you need the Rumble to make a new star. I understand why people say that because like the 90s, Austin and Shawn and like so many of these guys won the Rumble.
Well, I think it's more storyline trajectory, right? Like, given it, I didn't know they were going to do the Elimination Chamber match for the women, so I'm really excited about that.
Yeah.
But I think part of me was like, there was a story there that could have been. I just think someone else could have won it. I don't think Ronda's a big enough name. She didn't need to win.
But I mean, to be honest,
Lesnar, Roman Reigns thing, one of them had to kind of win to get to this point. So I expected that. But
the Rumble was for 2 stories. The Rumble wanted to tell the story of Ronda Rousey's return, and the number 1 story, which is Brock and Roman. And if you look at and it just kind of sucks because I think people want to see a lot of mini stories in the Royal Rumble, right? And not so much this one. And what they just used the Rumble as this one big chapter for Brock and Roman, and you either were fine with that or you weren't. Like to me, I'm like, okay, like this does add a significant layer to Brock and Roman.
Yes.
Do they need it? No, but you don't. Ronda didn't need to win the Rumble, but neither did Bianca, neither does Sasha, neither does anybody else. I mean, Liv or Rhea Ripley or somebody like that.
And Sasha aren't MMA stars coming into WWE making their comebacks, right?
You're right.
Like, they're still part of a storyline. So to me, them winning would have still made sense.
You're right.
I still feel they needed that, right? And not only that, but it gives them another accolade in their own careers, right?
Sure.
That Bianca's the first person to win it twice, right?
Yeah.
First woman to win it twice. Or Sasha would have been, her first Rumble win. So it's just one of those things where I just feel the women could have went a different direction, personally, but they wanted Ronda standing there pointing at a sign at the end of that match.
So
and then the sign caught on fire. So
oh boy. Anyway, moving on. So let's jump to Raw. We're gonna kind of blend last week's Raw with this week's Raw. We're not, when we do review shows, we're not going line by line, timestamp by timestamp. We're picking out the most important stories and gonna break them down a little bit. Now that we've gotten all that out, let's move Raw and SmackDown. Bobby Lashley wins the WWE Championship. I was actually messaging some people last night. I'm not sure there's somebody else in the entire industry, all right, that looks like a champion more than Bobby Lashley does. You could put that dude on any banner in any city in any country, and if you put the WWE Championship on him on a banner, people, they would instantly go, he's a star, right?
Like the only instantly. Other person I can think of is Brock Lesnar.
Yeah,
like that's
Brock,
the level.
Brock, Roman, Bobby, right? Like Brock, Roman,
yes.
Bobby. That's
yes.
And then for the ladies, like Charlotte, Becky, Ronda. You could do the same with, but like Lashley walks out in those suits, right? Like he just looks like the moment he walks out. Like I did an interview with Nick Aldis like 2.5 years ago now. And we were talking about like likes and dislikes in the business, and he's like, I walk around and I'm like in the airports with all these wrestlers, and they're all in gym shorts and Nike sand, not even like, but he's just like, they look like they're comfortable to fly, right? I'm sure that's the thing, but he's like, nobody looks like a champion anymore. Nobody looks like a professional wrestler.
They changed the dress code for the NFL. Like it's why I like they look just so much more presentable, and they just look professional. And you're right, the way someone dresses can really make you change your thoughts about them as a character.
Yeah.
And Bobby, when he walks out, he commands attention.
Yes, 100%. Right? We talked about that last show.
Whether he's in his gear, whether he's in a suit.
Well, I mean, when he's in his gear, he's top 1% looking fella on the planet, right? Like,
right.
Like and then when he's in a suit, again, like his suit last night is just, anyway, before people think I'm thirsting over Bobby Lashley here, I'm a happily married dude. We jump to the men's elimination chamber. We'll talk about the women's elimination chamber next. Yes. Men's elimination chamber, he's gonna have to defend his title. He and Brock kind of start off the night for Raw. I think they have really great interactions. They're really short and to the point, but they just bring that boom, like it's important. You're gonna get Brock, Seth Rollins
Brock bouncing around.
Right, there's
like in his shorts, just like ready to go, man. He's like
one of my low-key favorite things in all of wrestling is when Lesnar walks down the ramp and he just circles the ring with his, with the person like
a shark.
Yeah, it's but like he doesn't change it. He's gonna do what he's gonna do, right? Like he's the alpha in whatever situation, and then the person in the middle is just like, okay, when am I gonna get killed? Or like, it's one of my favorite things. Coming.
However, I feel that it has changed a bit.
Yes.
Bobby.
Yes, 100%.
Bobby does not have that look on his face like what's gonna happen. Like he just kind of looks at Brock, and he doesn't even look at him. I don't think Brock does his thing, and Bobby's just standing there with his sunshades, suit, going,
"Jump!
Can I help you?
Come on! Like I'm ready.
Can I help you?
I'm ready, big boy. Let's go. Let's do this."
Like he was ready to go.
Yeah.
When Brock presented the challenge, he was ready to go. Then MVP is the one that stopped him and said, "No."
MVP's like, hey.
Cool your jets.
I need to make some money on this. We're not making it here tonight on Raw, okay? So we have in the chamber Lesnar, Rollins, your boy, Austin Theory. I don't know how you feel about him. AJ Styles, who has low key been picking up a lot. Like he's got a lot of momentum behind him, and your favorite future star in Riddle, right?
The Puckets. okay, first of all, I don't know how this goes. Obviously they threw Brock in there for that's the wrench, right?
Yep.
Everyone's like, Brock's just gonna terrorize through everybody. But it's not like he's in there with a whole bunch of punks. He's in there with former champions and future champions, right? Like he's in there with some caliber people.
Sure.
And I really, really, really loved that line last night where Bobby said, or I think was it Bobby or MVP? I don't know who said it, but I'm not in there with Brock. Brock's in there with me.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh snap! Like that made you go, okay, like, and I love that. I absolutely love that. It made you go, oh dang, like, because I think everyone's first thought when they see Brock enters the chamber, he's gonna terrorize it, right? He's just gonna go in there. I don't know when he's gonna come out of his chamber box, number one or like if he comes out number one, everyone's gonna go, oh, here we go. Like he's just gonna right?
Poor Austin Theory's about to get killed.
Oh yeah, for sure. for sure. Look, don't get me wrong. Like I'm not a Theory fan per se, but he has had some incredible matches. They've done a great job presenting him as a new talent on Raw to casuals who have no clue who he is, right?
Sure.
But they have done a great job, especially. I don't really get the whole Vince vignette thing, but it's working for him. People are at least knowing who he is now, and he's had some great caliber matches with some great people on the roster. So. But yeah, he's in there to get torn apart. Riddle, who has been clamoring for a match with Brock for 4 years now, and Brock basically said, "I want nothing to do with you, bro. Like if Brock doesn't want anything to do with you."
No,
right? Brock wants nothing to do with him, right? So again, I don't know when he's coming out or when Riddle's coming out, but I'm assuming again Riddle's another throwaway. I think he'll last longer than Theory.
Sure.
But he's not winning. So where I get torn is AJ Styles, Seth Rollins, and Brock.
Yeah.
I don't know where they are going with Seth. Okay. You had this amazing storyline with him with Roman. It's clearly not over, right? They left it, Roman
wide
had
open.
to DQ himself. It's wide open. It's still there. In dark matches, they have Seth and Roman.
Yes, they do.
In matches. Or they have Seth tagging with someone with Roman and the Usos. So they're still very much involved. So I'm like, they're dark matches. They don't mean that much, but sometimes they do mean something. They're playing in something.
Yep.
So I don't know where they're going with this. I would like Seth to win.
Okay.
I believe Bobby will retain.
Okay.
And the trajectory I'm seeing KO on, the trajectory I'm seeing AJ Styles on.
Yeah.
I could see being one of Bobby's opponents at Mania. So I'm just trying to figure out where they're going with this. So then you have the Seth KO dynamic. Are they going to go for tag titles? We don't know. Again, very unpredictable things.
So let me start there. I think if they were going to do Seth and KO for the tag titles, I think they would have left the tag titles on Orton and Riddle, because Orton and Riddle versus Seth and KO is a bigger match, right? Like that's a Mania match. So I agree with almost everything you said. I think.
But who pins Brock? How does Brock get out of that match not winning?
It kind of feels like Reigns gets involved. Probably this is going to come down to Brock and Bobby. This is what it's coming down to. My biggest question is, what do you do with Rollins? Because
or do Brock and Bobby take each other out and Rollins sneaks in the pin?
So all right.
Like I don't know. Like you're right. What something has to happen with Rollins. Rollins is doing some of the best work he has done character-wise.
Yeah. And
I don't know how long. Right? His match caliber's always been there. But character-wise, he's there.
So they planted the seeds.
What are they doing?
They planted the seeds last night on Raw with Kevin Owens. Kevin Owens had quite a few segments last night. He's got a lot of momentum behind him.
He won twice last night.
He is ever since he signed his new deal, he's looked fantastic, right? Like everything's going well. And he's got this feud with Rollins going on, or not feud. He's got the story with Rollins going on. I should say.
Yes.
So I do wonder, does Owens cost Rollins, and then Lashley gets the win, and then you get this triple threat
between. You have this whole thing with him telling him he's not in Chamber, and he's kind of
exactly.
pissed about it.
Exactly.
Like, does he end up showing up at Chamber?
But does he take out Austin Theory? Because
because he was talking about replacing him.
So there's a lot of things that can go on here.
And Rollins doesn't really want him there.
Yep.
Right?
So
he keeps going.
This match is all about two things. This match is about solidifying Bobby Lashley as the top, in my opinion, right? Because I think
I do not believe we're doing title for title. I think they're teasing it because people are like, no, like what? I don't think it's going to happen.
No, neither do I.
It's going to be Roman and Brock for that Universal title only.
I think this is to solidify Bobby Lashley as he is the new standard bearer on Monday Night Raw, and I think it's the right choice. He might be the best booked guy over the last 2 years.
He's been booked very well.
Then there's Riddle and Theory. If Theory stays in this match, so Riddle last night had 4 segments, I believe, and he's been around Orton, and I do wonder him being around Orton for the last year. I wonder if Orton has kind of helped, because Riddle kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way early on, right? And Orton
backstage and fans and
Orton kind of rubbed a lot of people the wrong way early on, right?
He did.
So you wonder if this was Vince saying, "Hey kid, I see something in you. Let me put you with Orton for a year, right? Orton, hey, you get big money and you get to work half the time in a match." And Orton has done this a lot before, like Bray Wyatt, and he's done he's so good at this. But I do wonder if for Riddle, if it's more than just getting the rub, if it's, hey, backstage kid, you're great, right? Like, you're great. You look great. You were a legitimate badass, like all the things, but you got to pay your dues, right? It's
definitely helped Riddle.
A
ton.
Yeah,
a ton.
For sure.
Like, especially in the eyes of a casual fan.
Yeah.
It again, someone else, they did a good job of introducing 2 casuals who might not have known him in NXT, or might not know
his UFC background,
the backstage heat and the UFC, like any of that stuff. They might not know all that. So this putting him at Randy has been a great way to put him on the map, if you will. They did a great job with him. They've done a great job with Theory. But to your point, I don't know. Riddle's the throwaway in this match. Austin is, but I think
Riddle.
Theory is the first throwaway. I think Riddle would be the second, but I think he will last longer. But to your point, they gave the man 4 segments last night. Like, they're behind him.
Yeah.
He's not the champion yet.
He's gonna get his match with Orton, and he's gonna have to prove it for a year. Like, he's gonna be an early Rumble favorite next year. Like,
I think he's actually. I'm gonna be honest.
Or Money in the Bank, maybe.
I think he's gonna. I've kind of been thinking for a while he's gonna be the Money in the Bank winner this year.
The bro in the bank, like it's like that's just.
Come on.
Hey pal, this is good shit. The bro in the bank, pal. So let's move on. There's a few other things from Raw I want to touch on real quick.
Yes.
Alexa Bliss. The character work week over week, the subtle changes in her appearance. Like, she doesn't get enough credit for the way she can work a character. Like, honestly, if a top star like, I don't know, like Dana Brooke, right? Like, who's got this amazing physique and,
Yes.
If she had if she was able to do character work the way Alexa could, she would be a star, right? Like, Alexa's injury history, and I think, her body type leads to that injury history a little bit because she's so much smaller. I like where this is going. I think she's really good.
I'm invested.
Where would you like to see her? Would you like to see her in the mystery spot? Would you like to see her with Ripley or Nikki Ash or Liv Morgan? Like,
this is something I have thought about over the last couple of weeks. I don't know because number one, I need to see where it's going. Like, obviously we see her going away from, the Playhouse doll Alexa, right? She's like last night
transitioning.
She had the pink in the bottom of her hair again, like the goddess.
Yeah.
I don't think she's going back to the goddess.
No.
But I think she's going through these stages of her past selves, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm invested. Number one, because I'm like, where is this going? I don't know where you place her because she's coming back. It kind of doesn't make sense because technically the last person she fought was Charlotte, and Charlotte's the one who ripped up her doll, and they have some unfinished business. So, but she's on Raw. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know where you put her. Do you
So
put her in the title scene?
I don't think
So
so.
here's my thing. I believe, this is my prediction, that Becky will drop the belt at Mania.
Yes.
So do you put? But I think she's dropping it to Bianca. So my
Yes.
thing is, do you put the returning Alexa up against Bianca? Now, look, they had an amazing, amazing, amazing chemistry at the beginning of Rumble 2020.
Yeah. 2 years ago. Yeah.
Loved it. They had like a good 5-8 minute like little match together, and I was kind of like, wow, like I loved it, and I was like, I want to see more of this. So they could have a good feud, but Alexa technically was face when she left. Face. But do you put her in a title match with Bianca already, where you're not gonna have Bianca lose?
No,
right?
So whoever Bianca gets after WrestleMania is going to have to be the you know like the big win after the win, right? Like you have to start
Exactly.
you have to start the cycle back over, right? Like you built Bianca up and you continued the ascension,
literally the biggest,
and then
most popular face.
You had to tear her back down,
times.
right? You had to tear her and actually I thought Becky's win, the way it happened, was fine. Like I know a lot of people hated it, right? Like, but
I think
you do have to find ways to tear down your baby faces, though, right? Because you have to build them back up.
They have to have hurdles. They have to have bumps in the road.
And she's always been able to lean on the crutch of, well, you caught me off guard.
Yep.
Right? Like, anyway.
It's not like it was a fair match. You caught me off guard.
Beyond, Alexa could be in that spot afterwards, but like when I'm looking at the picture as of today, you have Liv Morgan, who's kind of in this weird space of becoming a fringe main event women's player, but like needs to be on TV every week. Like she is really got some momentum behind her.
I saw people kind of upset last night that she took that pin, and I'm like, it's clear to me that right now, Doudrop has momentum.
Yeah.
They like the way she works. I love that woman. But they like the way she works, right? They to me, Doudrop is what they wanted Nia to be. And I feel that she is killing it. And I think they see that. And I think that's why she got that W, right? They want to continue that momentum. Not only that, but if you really look at it, Becky is the biggest heel. And then who? You have Carmella and Zelina, who are in the tag wrapped up in tag titles. I guess Nikki Ash. But that's it. Besides Doudrop. So you need another kind of big deal heel to be there. And so they're building Doudrop up to be that. Now, everyone's like, well, does that mean Liv pushes over? And I'm like, look, Liv was in catering for a year.
Yeah.
Easy. Maybe longer. I was like, she is on TV weekly now.
Yeah.
Whether she's taking an L or whether she is winning or she has a segment, she is at least being featured on cable television every week now, consistently. Right? People know her name. People are behind her. People are cheering for her. I'm like, that is more important than constantly getting wins. Just because her push isn't happening right now does not mean that they've forgotten about her. Now, if she's taken off of TV completely, like they did Shotzi, that's a problem. You don't want that, right?
Yeah.
But they see something in Liv. They like Liv. I think they're finally noticing that. And she is on TV consistently. And that's what you want more than anything.
Yes.
Is to be seen.
I completely agree with you. And to your point with Doudrop was the next name I was going to bring up for Alexa possibly, because you do have the story with Doudrop of she was Piper Niven, but then Eva Marie made her Doudrop, so Alexa could play into you're not being your true self. So you could tell that story there, right? But in doing that, you kind of have to push Doudrop as a baby face and she's like,
and that's
I
what I'm
see her as a
saying.
top
That's why,
heel, right? Like
yes,
I see her as a
and
top.
that's what I'm saying. I can't answer your question because I don't know how Alexa's coming back.
But so I
Is she
look
coming
at
back face? Is she coming back tweener? Is she coming back heel? We don't know yet, and so that's where I don't know where to place her.
Nikki Ash, and I think this is the spot I believe she most likely just easily slides into because Nikki Ash is in, as a character, this
Mm-hmm.
weird transitional period, right? She
Yes.
was the superhero, and golly gosh, we're all drinking our milk and eating our vitamins, and oh boy, golly gee, buy your Girl Scout cookies, right? Like that was Nikki Ash.
Yes.
And now she's embracing this inner heel a little bit.
Yep.
And I think this is where Alexa comes in and says, "You're not a hero.
And
You're
they
a
have the
villain,
history.
just like me." Right? And I think that's where you go. The only problem I have with that is as I start like slotting all these people in, Rhea Ripley can't be like I think she's gonna have to be part of the WrestleMania show. And where do I put Rhea Ripley if I put Nikki Ash with Alexa?
I don't know. So that's the other question. Is Alexa back in time for Mania?
I think so.
Is she going to have a Mania match?
I think
Is she? So maybe
it could be Ripley. Like you could easily do Alexa versus Ripley, and you could just have
this
Ripley
is the most
ragdoll her.
exciting and difficult part about the women's division right now is because where do you slot them? You also have your unknowns. You have Lacey Evans. You have Asuka. You have Bayley.
Well, so anyway, at the end of the day, I think Alexa isn't the mystery person. I think she cost.
Do not. I think
she cost somebody. Man, that silhouette looks like your Aunt Pam. Like
the hair's all tied back.
Yeah, the hair's kind of like coming down here a little bit. Like, it looks like Bayley.
I think you think. Would you really want eliminate? Look, if you're coming back from a leg injury, do you really put someone in an elimination chamber?
Bayley's a badass.
She's absolutely love that woman. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, I do. That's how you bring her back. I don't know.
Here's my understanding. My understanding is those Saudi paychecks are really, really, really good.
Correct.
So if I was out for a year and I'm missing a lot of merch money that I was getting, that really, really, really good Saudi check sounds like a great way to bring me back.
Well, and I don't know if it was a tweet or something, but she had said about the Rumble, not being in the Rumble, she said, "I'm training for bigger things."
Yeah. So
to me, I'm thinking Mania, but I'm like, again, where does she? Is she coming back? Is she going back to SmackDown? Just technically, she was a SmackDown talent.
Yes, she was.
Got injured. Is she coming to Raw? Like, we don't know.
Yeah, we'll touch on SmackDown here in a minute because with Lacey Evans, let's move forward. One of the best segments last night was Lita and Becky Lynch. I tweeted, Becky Lynch just reminded everybody why she's so far ahead of everybody when it comes to women's wrestling, because when she turns it on the microphone, there's just nobody in the women's division as good as her. And Lita brought that out.
Her storytelling ability is just her storytelling ability, whether it's on the mic, facial expressions, in the ring, it doesn't matter. It's unmatched. I'm sorry, it's just unmatched. Sasha might be the next. Sasha's there as well. But Becky just, for me, edges her out. And I don't know. That promo last night between the two of them, you would have never thought Lita had missed a beat. You never thought she'd been out of wrestling for this long. Like, the way they played off each other so well in that segment, promo wise, physically wise, it was just it was a great segment.
You wouldn't have guessed 46-year-old Lita was out there.
Yeah.
You would have thought it was 26-year-old Lita.
No, honestly.
I thought she looked great. I thought she sounded great. I thought she brought it's really cool, right? Like, you even saw it with Miz a little bit with Rey Mysterio last night, right? There's certain characters that just tend to bring something out, right? Yes. And it's the way they deliver it. It's their facial expressions. It just comes across differently. And you can tell this feud for Becky with Lita means something. Like
everything.
It means something, and you could hear it. You could visibly see it last night. I think they're gonna tear it down at the Elimination Chamber. I'm ready for give me a few weeks of this build. Do not stop this heat. Do not simmer it.
Amazing.
Keep
I
pushing
think I
it.
saw someone post, oh, like, why wouldn't they, put more heat on Becky and let her stand tall last night? And I'm like, it didn't need it.
No.
It didn't need it. Did you hear the boos?
You needed... No.
Did you hear the boos?
Yeah.
Like, there was already great heat on it. And when she laid her out and then started to leave and look back, and you see Lita getting the upper hand, it's going, like, that pop that they both got, that the match in general was getting. But it was done, I thought, absolutely perfectly. It was literally a segment of the night for me. And obviously I'm biased, but it was segment of the night for me. But it was executed perfectly.
I think it was very important early on in this feud, and they did it early instead of like right the week before the go home or whatever.
Yes.
They did it so early on. You needed to establish Lita isn't an older version of herself. She is a younger version. Like, she can still do this thing. And she hit the twist of fate to perfection. And she did a not as good as Charlotte moonsault, but she looked fantastic.
Tomato.
She looked fantastic, and the crowd was it made everybody watching say, Lita, she's gonna do it. She's gonna do it. She's gonna be champion.
Because everyone's like, oh, obviously Becky's gonna win. It makes you start second guessing, like, she still has it.
Yeah.
Like, they could actually like make her 5-time champion again. Like, this is her last run. They might want to put the title on her.
Yeah.
And they might, and they still might, right? Like, we don't know. And maybe it's not before Mania, but maybe after Mania. We don't know. The point is that it made you question things, and it made you go, oh snap, like, now I just want to see what happens, right? You had people doubting her. Like, I'm not even kidding. A couple of days ago, or right after the match was announced, or they made it the Raw before.
Yeah.
Oh, Lita has ring rust, and
exactly.
Oh,
and they eliminated.
Becky's gonna really have to carry this match. And,
one segment. One segment took all that away.
Everyone went, okay,
she's got it.
Like,
I'm in.
She's got it, and I'm like, Becky. This match means a lot to both of them.
Sure.
To both of them so much. They're such great friends. They've wanted to do this for years. Didn't ever think it was going to happen. But it means so much. I know, to Becky. So it's just, she's going to do whatever she can to put Lita over in the best way, right? Whether that's winning or losing. So I'm so excited for this. And in one segment, just reading Twitter in general, everyone's now going, this is Mania worthy. Like,
yeah, no.
Why is this happening at Mania, right? So anyway, I'm very excited about this.
You could tell it meant a lot, like I said, in the way they presented that segment last night. Yes. One last question for Raw, then we're going to jump to SmackDown. What was better last night? Seth Rollins' suit jacket or Miz and Maurice's dancing abilities?
I love Seth's jacket. Gucci.
Seth, like, is inspiring a whole new generation of dudes to, like, you know what? I'm going to rock some sequins, and we're going to see how it goes.
To our point earlier, though, he's dressing for his character. But the point is that everyone's going, maybe I can step my game up as far as how I'm presenting myself, right?
For sure.
And
fellas, go get you it.
To that point, this is breaking news for everybody, even Steven. I plan on having King Troy, who has been dressing a lot of our WWE superstars over the last year or two, actually almost 2 years, on our show.
Whoa!
So I will let you know when that is.
Yeah,
but
for sure.
Obviously we can get some questions from people and stuff like that.
Sure.
Maybe some suggestions. Don't know if he'll listen to you because he's actual stylist.
Yeah, he's the real deal. He's the real
deal, folks.
He's not ordering stuff off a Shein and hoping it works out.
Look. Sometimes you get stuff from where you get it from to tell a story, but I do plan on having him on the show. You guys can ask some questions. We will let you
That'll be
know
fun.
when that is. But that'll be fun.
That'll be fun for sure. Let's move on to SmackDown. All right, that's it. That's all we need to say about SmackDown. It happened. Uh,
It was on TV.
SmackDown
Then.
happened. You got you got Rousey challenging Charlotte. I thought Rousey came across a lot better on SmackDown than she did on.
Her reaction was much better.
Yeah, than she did on Raw.
I don't know if she just had to get that first one out. Maybe she's a little more relaxed now. Whatever it is. You know what she also did differently? When she came out on Raw, she looked pissed.
I kind of think that's like her natural expression, though.
It might be. I don't know. But on SmackDown, she came out and she was smiling, smacking people's hands, like
right? I could totally see like Vince like in Gorilla with her like like my daughter about to go do ballet, like
no resting bitch face. No, but she's smacking fans' hands, and so the reception was better because she was presenting herself a little lighter, right?
Yeah.
Now, as far as the segment goes, what? Like, it was just, what? Like, it was confusing. It was convoluted. You have, like, Sonya jumping on Ronda. Like, I was just like, and don't get me wrong, I'm assuming it's just heading to a suspension, maybe, and then Ronda can be off for a while. That's what I'm assuming, but it was still, it was convoluted. It was
messy.
all over the place. Like, she picked Becky. No, he didn't. What? And Becky's posting, like, he didn't talk to me. And it's just, it was all over the place.
I feel like sometimes WWE takes the long path to the short destination. Right? It's like Walmart's
the long convoluted path.
Target's right down the road. Instead of just taking the highway, you take all the back roads and you go over the past grandma's house through the woods and you hike 4 miles and
like I think it was I think it was done, I'm assuming, for like suspense, like oh my god. But my thing is it pissed people off because then they teased Charlotte versus Sasha, the crowd pops.
Yeah.
And then Ronda comes out and it's like psych. And that's like the worst thing you can do. Sasha is super over. Well, has always been over.
I think sometimes they underestimate how much their own talent is over more than the person they're bringing in. Like, I think you see it with, like, Goldberg and stuff sometimes. Like, you're like, hey,
casuals love Goldberg. Casuals love
Roman's going to face Cesaro. And everybody's like, oh, my gosh, right? And then they're like, psych, it's going to be Goldberg. And they're like, huh?
Okay.
Like, I get to see the entrance, and that's really cool. Like I could watch the Goldberg entrance every pay-per-view. Yes. I'm in.
Yes.
Cool. Call me a Mark. I'm a shill, a drone, Mark, whatever. Like, I like the Goldberg entrance. But
I don't need to see it as often as I've seen it, but I do like it.
But, like, I think what they were thinking was, hey, we teased you with this Banks thing you're going to love, but we're actually, if you call now, we're going to give you a Ronda Rousey instead. And people are like, I kind of like the Sasha Banks idea.
Everyone's like, no one asked. No, besides Ronda and maybe Charlotte fans, nobody I've seen asked, I can't wait for Ronda Rousey for Charlotte Flair. In general, right? Yeah, maybe now that the match is made, some people are excited about it. But you know what I mean? Like, but people were, especially since there was the tease with Charlotte and Sasha, I think it was right after the draft.
Yeah.
Well, there was a whole title swap fiasco. But you know what I mean? Like, that's kind of where it started. And then they were like, oh no, Sasha has to go through these other people to get back to Charlotte, right? And she kind of did that. And then that all fell flat. And then Shotzi was just gone. And Sasha's just been around.
SmackDown's been a mess since the draft. If we're being honest. Like,
I don't know what's going on.
They have Roman. Right? And it feels like what WWE
but even the Roman segments have kind of fell off. Like, Roman in himself is a star.
Yeah.
Roman in himself, and the Usos with him and Paul Heyman. It is a package I will tune in for.
Yes.
But even before with him, they had layered stories with him, and they had different segments with him during the show, and they had all these different things going on. And I feel like that's all just stopped since the draft. And well, you still get Roman and the Usos and Heyman and some kind of convoluted stuff with like Heyman going to Brock and then it's like, not really, I was with Roman the whole time. Like, it kind of
Love
focused
that
on
stuff.
Heyman. It kind of focused on Heyman for a while. Do you know
Sure.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Which I was okay with. Don't get me wrong. It was very funny and torn love triangle. But it's just one of those things where that's it. That's it.
They still haven't found the perfect balance of needing multi-segment people for Raw. Like I've always said, there's no need to have Miz and Kevin Owens on the same brand because they do the same thing. They fill the exact same spot. But why Raw is so great right now is you have Orton and Riddle and Miz and Owens and Rollins and Lashley and MVP. Like you have all these people and Becky, and you have all these people that can fill 2 to 3 segments every week. So you don't have like a dead segment on Raw anymore. There's no like even Reggie and Dana. It's fine
right.
because it's the outlier, right?
Well,
Like it's
they also built a story around it. So you go, okay, like now it's like a little love story, right? Like,
right?
Are they like what? Did you see the way they look? I saw people post.
Yeah.
Oh, as she said this, but you see the way she looked at him? Like people were like talking about it, and I'm like, it's a soap opera, and I'm like, what's happening right now? But people are curious about it, and you're right. Raw has done a great job since the draft of making these multi-layered stories for both women and men, different storylines, and not everything necessarily surrounds just one title. And I love that.
But what you have on SmackDown now is you have Roman, like way up here, then you have Drew and Charlotte, and then it's everybody else, right? My cat's doing a running again. But so Drew, right, has been injured. He's been out. So now you're stuck with like Corbin doing multiple segments with Madcap Moss and like Corbin,
which isn't working though.
No, and you have the New Day, but you're not leaning on New Day to carry a bunch of segments, and you have Nakamura that can't, like, he's really good for a really good match, but he's not gonna fill 2 or 3 segments for you because nobody wants the promo. So you're kind of stuck, right? And you don't use Shayna Baszler for some reason. Like you could just have Shayna walk around just choking people back, like have her like go up to Adam Pearce and be like, "Hey, put me in a title match." He'd be like, "No," and she's like, "Okay, I'm gonna kill everyone in catering," right? And her whole gimmick is every week he's gonna say no, and she's just gonna kill some random people backstage, right? Like, so it's
like I hate the excuse of we don't have enough. They don't have enough this. They got rid of too many people. I'm like, look, but when they got rid of a lot of people, they have more than enough people to make multiple storylines with, or multiple stories, or multiple segments, whatever you want to call it. They just haven't.
They can also use Ali, who 1,000,000,000% could promo work. Like
he can do it all.
Look, what
he can do
like
it all.
When I saw the draft, I was really happy about the draft because I was like, okay, you have the guy in Drew that you're gonna build for Roman down the road. But then you got Ricochet and Ali and Cesaro and Nakamura, and you have all those pieces on the way, right? And you're like, it's kind of like what Becky and Liv and Doudrop and all that, right? Like, why aren't you doing that same? Why aren't you putting Ricochet in there with Roman Reigns to see, okay, does he got it or not? Because he's been here for a while, and we got to figure out. Because if it's not, then cut him and bring in the next batch, right? Like.
You have this is one thing I love. So when Gable was over on SmackDown, I think he was like Shorty. He was Shorty G.
Shorty G.
Oh my god, flashbacks, PTSD.
Because you get it, he's short, and Gable starts with G. So it makes sense. It's great, pal. I mean, it's good shit, pal.
Horrible. And they weren't doing much. But now you have him over on Raw. And they teamed him with Otis. And I will be the first one to tell you, when they first did that, I was like, what? Huh? Why? Right? But Gable is doing some of the best work he has ever done in WWE right now. Character work, in-ring work, like all of it. The man's always been talented.
Oh, yeah.
But he's actually showing some personality. They're letting him have the mic. They're letting him talk. And it's working. I love him. I love it. I love what they're doing. But so I say that. So why aren't we doing something not similar? We obviously don't do the same thing. But Ricochet, I feel, okay, Ricochet's not as good on the mic. I'll be honest. He's not the best promo.
No,
We know that.
but you got to give him the chance,
But,
right? Like
correct. But no one knew Gable was going to be good on the mic. But he has done fantastic.
well,
He has
Gable
done
also
fantastic.
Gable like I don't know if you remember when American Alpha, him and Jason Jordan, and they started doing the Ready, Willing, and Gable thing, and that was like he had like created that on the spot at like a house show or something with the towel, and like he's always been really good at these short, punchy, quick, comedic, funny, boom, 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 right? And I think you got to find the same thing for a guy like Ricochet, right? Like I think Ali could actually tell a story, right?
So the last thing I really enjoyed from Ricochet was when he was teamed with Aleister Black. Loved it.
Do you remember when he did the Twitter video on like the rooftop when he and Ali were having like the best of 7 or whatever on main event?
Yeah.
I'm like, where's that dude? Because that dude in that black t-shirt and those jeans on that rooftop just I'm better than you, dude. I'm the most athletically gifted dude in the world, right? Like that should be the whole shtick. Is cool. You might be bigger than me. Cool. You might be taller than me. I'm the most athletically gifted person in the world.
Yep.
That should be the shtick.
Like give him a character.
Sure.
Give him a character.
Because like I know for certain that like if they gave Ricochet like a 20-minute match where he got to do all of the Ricochet stuff, and I put my son in front of the TV, he would be like,
"Whoa,
that's incredible." And it's like you need that on the for all the Bobby Lashleys and Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar's of the world. You why not diversify your have a Ricochet and have an Ali and have these smaller my cats upset.
Like, I have something to say.
Right? How do you feel about Ricochet?
I have something to say. How do you feel about Ricochet?
Do you like? No, she doesn't like Ricochet. So anyway, yeah. So SmackDown has been it's lopsided again, and you just they haven't found the right combination of performers to move around, and I hope they find it. I hope they use Shayna more because she could be really, really good at the whole wrestling thing. I think
it's not even that. Like, I don't know how you felt, but when she was doing that stuff with Alexa, I loved it.
Yeah.
Like, I know people were like, "What is this?" Like, because they wanted the silent, badass killer Shayna, and I'm like, this woman is showing her range right now, and I absolutely loved it. And I was like, she's showing when Shayna. Oh, not even that, but also when she was on, is it Raw Talk?
Yeah.
With R-Truth.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that was great.
That was some of the funniest stuff I've ever seen. When Shayna is able to just present her personality as it is good stuff. And I'm like, give her more. Like, she can be a killer. She can, tap, nap, pap. What is it?
Tap, snap, snap.
Tap, nap, snap. Sorry, I said
tap. Ladies, go see your OBGYN, please, and get your pap smears.
Sorry. But people can have more than that, right?
Yeah.
Why not let her be herself? And I feel like she would get over with the fans so easily. And they were using it for a while there with the whole Naomi Sonya thing, but nothing. So I don't know.
Kurt Angle, arguably the baddest wrestler on the planet at one time, an Olympic gold medalist, wore a mini cowboy hat and played a ukulele and drank milk and made a fool of himself. He did the rap battle with John Cena one time where he had like the worst bars of all time.
Yes.
But at the drop of a hat, he could flip it on and be like, "I'll snap your ankle in half." I'm still. It's fine for Shayna to show some comedic range. I've actually said I think that the path for Shayna or Riddle or these MMA stars, let them be funny at times. Let them have personality. But the moment they feel crossed or the moment they feel like they're in a corner, boom. I can hurt you. Like I've hurt people before and I can hurt you. And I don't know why when the Shayna Alexa stuff was going on, people was like, "Oh my gosh, this ruins her character." And all I could think about was Kurt Angle, where I'm like,
like, what is being like her NXT self? Sure, because she was built as this serious badass who doesn't smile, right? Or smiles when she's breaking her arm, maybe. But my thing is, I'm like, that's not necessarily going to, and it hasn't transitioned well to the main roster.
Well, look at Bayley.
You have to have personality.
Bayley is the perfect case study for what happens or what works in NXT doesn't always work, and a lot of that reason is you saw the entire story of Hug Bayley, right?
Yep.
There was nothing left. There's nothing left to squeeze. You've already gotten all the juice out of the orange. You just got it all in NXT. So when it was time to come up to the main roster, well, what story is there to tell? You don't want her to start over because that's going to make you mad. You don't want to push her all the way to the main event yet because she's not ready. So what are you going to do? So you get this awkward transitional phase with these like Asuka even, right? Like Asuka took time to silent badass in NXT to finding that main roster character because he had already squeezed so much out of it.
Yep.
Where like if you're Kevin Owens, like he has so much range. He can be serious. He can be the face. Like when he was the face of America, I thought that was gonna that was great. Or when he was gonna be the every dad, he could pull it off. Like so, look at Sami Zayn, another one. The whole babyface struggle, it all got squeezed out, right? Yep. So that Sami Zayn, it's gone. It's done. Unfortunately, they told the entire story in NXT. So now he comes to the main roster, and you have to, well, you've already done that. You've already done that. This set of fans are like, okay, we have to do something different. And right now, maybe the most interesting he's ever been.
The best work. Again, there are so many, I feel, wrestlers in that same time frame that kind of came up in NXT together.
Yeah.
Doing some of the best work of their careers right now. Seth, KO, Sammy, like all.
I can't believe I had somebody
Bex,
message me.
Charlotte, Sasha, like all of them are just at the top of their games, and I don't know why it took so long for them to figure Sammy out. I don't know if this was Sammy's idea, the whole conspiracy thing. I'm not sure.
I love it though.
But I absolutely loved it. I love it. Excuse me. I didn't love it at first, but as it went on, and you have like him with his own camera crew, and I'm like, what? Like what? When are we gonna see the video? Like remember, like we're like, when are we gonna see his video? Like right? So it grew on me, and I was like, okay. I'm loving it. And then him with the whole jackass thing, like it's some of the best work Sammy has done.
Ever.
KO hasn't even changed that much, but he's doing some of the best work he has in his career.
Yeah.
Right? Like it's just you have to find your stride on main roster, and you have to find your niche and what works for you. And
like I think Becky had the other thing, right? Where like they didn't squeeze everything out of Becky in NXT.
They barely squeezed it all.
Right? And
there was no squeezing.
So she got to continue that arc of like she's never had the ascension in NXT. So right when she came in,
she didn't have the ascension hardly on main roster until late 2018.
Yeah, but you got to extend it, right? Like you didn't have to do this and then come back down and then do it again.
Yes.
Like with Bayley, she had peaked so much that and then with like Sasha and Charlotte, they're just such presences that you're like, okay, well this is easy, plug and play. Yes. She's a Flair.
Yep.
Sasha's Snoop Dogg's cousin. Yep. Right? Like they're just.
She's a boss. She's a Flair.
There you go. They're so big, but I think that's about. Is there anything else you want to touch on from either of the any of the shows?
What else happened on SmackDown?
I mean, that's about it, right? Goldberg. Oh, Goldberg Roman. Are you excited?
Oh. No.
Okay.
It's for the Saudi fans, and
look, here's what
they love themselves some Goldberg, and if they're happy, I'm completely okay with that.
Roman is gonna get to put on the resume another legendary name. That's all this matters for. And look, we're just getting to Roman Brock. Right? That's what we need to get to. And are you excited for Roman Brock 4? Will this be the 4th main event between them two at WrestleMania?
I think so.
Because Roman beat him once, right?
My feel, it's not that I'm not excited. I'm always excited for a Brock match. First of all, I'm excited for a Roman match. Roman is doing again some of the best work of his career. Personally, for me, I don't think it needs to main event because it is like number 4. However, it's Brock.
It's Brock and Roman. Yeah, it's kind of like
going to main event.
Like Austin Rock 3, right? Like
right. It's going to main event, and for me, it doesn't need to for me to be excited about it. But I get why it is. It's the marquee, right? Like you see their names. I mean,
that's gonna be a great night, though.
You're gonna
have Brock, Roman, and then Becky, Bianca, likely on the same show, as the main and the co-main. Like that's about as good as it gets, right? Like in today's WWE, assuming you're probably gonna get Charlotte, Ronda in the main of the first night,
and with Bobby and whoever.
Bob, it's got to be Seth Rollins, right?
Where do you put him?
Some
people think he's being added to the Brock and Roman match.
Now I will say this, I don't
want that.
As we're ending
I want
here,
Rollins.
But you could tell the story.
One-on-one with.
You could tell the story of the cash-in, like right. You can go back to the cash-in story of Rollins ruined their was it their first time at Mania? Those two, I think so.
That was their first Mania match.
So they have like. I don't know. I would much rather have Seth and Bobby one-on-one and push all in for one of those two to be faces.
But I think there's AJ Styles and Kevin Owens.
Either of them
both on great momentum trajectories right now.
Either of them could face Edge.
Ooh.
You could do.
I forgot about Edge.
Edge and Owens, which would be like a Canadian's dream come true for Kevin Owens.
You could also kind of make that up because KO is friends with Seth. Edge feuded with Seth. Now KO's going to avenge Seth.
And if Styles wins the U.S. title, you could do Balor Styles. So what if the top 3 men's Raw matches are Balor Styles for the U.S. title?
I feel like Damian though is going to be at Mania.
What if you did Damian and Bad Bunny?
Ooh. Oh yeah, because they were kind of like like Damian kind of like guided him when he first time. Now Damian's kind of this.
Or what if you got Styles Bad Bunny?
I don't know, but I just want to say Bad Bunny is the best celebrity person that's ever come.
Look, I feel all so. I think Johnny Knoxville is going to take on Sami Zayn at WrestleMania. I think it's too good not to happen. And I think Bad Bunny.
Is it for the title though? The IC title? Because isn't
Nakamura
Sami owed
a
title match?
What if
it's gonna be Sami, Johnny Knoxville, and Nakamura?
So Sami wins the Intercontinental title, and the the Jackass guys cost him the Intercontinental title, right? Like that. You could tell that story, and it's a conspiracy, and they're all working against me, and blah 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 blah. And you get Sami Zayn versus Johnny Knoxville on one night, and then on the other night you get Bad Bunny versus somebody, and you get that Hollywood crossover. You get you get your big attractions.
Johnny Knoxville's me one night, Bad Bunny the other night.
By the way, before we stop, don't be surprised if Shane McMahon's on WrestleMania.
I thought he was gone.
That's what.
I thought gone, Steven.
I thought he booked WrestleMania.
I thought and then he was showing up at AEW tomorrow night.
And then he booked himself the win, and then he booked himself in the title match. But then he got fired the next day by his dad, but he's still on the WWE roster page.
I thought he was showing up at AEW tomorrow. That's what some people said.
Don't set yourselves up for failure, people. Enjoy whatever they give you. Like I do wish sometimes we would just enjoy it.
Well, let's talk about that before we wrap up here. Spoilers from our journalist friends.
Yeah.
I feel like we'd enjoy it more, I feel like, if people weren't constantly spoiling it. Now, given log off of social media, maybe for a couple weeks, I don't know. It's kind of hard, right, to avoid them, but I don't know.
It's tough. I do think people would enjoy wrestling more if they didn't consume so much content, right? Like, I think people consume so much social media, so many podcasts, right? Like, so many podcasts, websites, Twitter reports.
Except this one. This one's a great one, so just keep watching.
Yes. Subscribe, like, all that kind of fun stuff. But, like, the more you consume, the more you set yourself up, right? Like, if somebody heard you book the Roman Reigns loses to Seth Rollins and then enters the Rumble, and they were like, oh my gosh, that would be the greatest thing ever, and then they watch the Royal Rumble, and then that doesn't happen, and they're like, well, man, that sucks. Like, I was really excited about the Roman Reigns losing the title and winning the Royal Rumble thing. And
Right.
so it's fortunate and unfortunate, and I've had to learn after writing news and doing shows and all this other stuff, like, I have to turn that off.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when I'm consuming the content, I just have to say, there's stuff I would love to see, there's stuff I think's going to happen, there's stuff I hear is going to happen, and for me to enjoy it, I just have to turn it all off and say, all right, well, what are you going to give me? And let me critique and break down what you've actually given me versus what I expected you to give me.
Yep.
And because I do a lot of that on my Twitter, and a lot of people see that as me being a shill or me overlooking or me giving passes or stuff like that, when it's, well, no, you set yourself up for something that was never going to happen.
Right.
Right? Like, that was never actually in the cards. It didn't happen. And
something you wanted to happen, it didn't, and now you're pissed.
Yeah, and I don't know. I think sometimes we should just enjoy wrestling for what it is. It's content, right? Like, I don't watch you on Netflix.
It's entertainment. Thank you. Exactly. Right. And I was like, look, we're all little wrestling nerds. We all love it, right? It's just one of those things where we want so much for so much to happen, and we're invested in certain characters, right? We're fully invested, and you want all these great things to happen for this character, but it might not be that character's time. There's no other TV show that you can tell me people watch and they get pissed at the writers and pissed at creative. And I don't see anyone going, Grey's Anatomy, oh my God, you killed off so-and-so. And don't get me wrong, people get mad, people get killed off.
Sure.
I'm talking about, you don't talk about it for weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks on end. That,
or,
oh my God, you have horrible writers. And,
or the dialogue that so-and-so delivered just didn't feel authentic and it felt scripted. Folks, it's a television show.
It's a television show.
Right? Like,
it is live, yes, but it is a television show with pro wrestling.
Like, that's it. It's a TV show about pro wrestling. That's what it is. And
the sooner people understand that.
Like, I don't watch Stranger Things and sit there and be like, 11 really could have performed that. She botched that spot really bad. And I actually live tweeted a South Park as a wrestling fan one time. And I had, it was one of my favorite things I've ever done. Like, but yes, it is time to say goodbye. Stephanie, tell them where they can follow you and say your goodbyes.
Yes, you can follow me on Twitter at Stephanie Hypes with a Z, and on Instagram at Stephanie Hypes with a Z.
Not to be confused with an S, because that got banned for all of your malicious content out there.
GIF posting. You posted a GIF for suspending.
You are awful. Let us know below. Does Charlotte or Lita have the better moonsault? Please hit subscribe. We will be back later this week to bring you a news and rumors show. This is our early week show is going to be a recap review show, and our later week shows is going to kind of be talking wrestling. You can follow me on Twitter at @view_raw and let me know why all of my opinions are awful all the time. And until next time, peace, love, too sweet. We're out of here.